morning, everyone. Nice to have you here. My name is Oliver Heinze, and I want to talk about BMW's overnight API management revolution. And to start my talk, I have two questions. Can you raise your hand if you drive a BMW, please? Everyone, raise your hand. Okay, that's some people. And my second question is, did you notice anything in the My BMW app end of last year? If not, please raise your hand. So you didn't notice anything? Okay, because that is basically what my talk is about. But before I start, I want to explain a little bit what I'm working for, because you know BMW, but you may not know what the connected company is, but you may have heard of Connected Drive, especially when you ordered your BMW. So the connected company is an internal organization in BMW, and we basically take care that your BMW is connected and your My BMW or My Mini app is working. And with the connected company, we implement a couple of use cases. For example, if you want to update your maps, you're gonna do that over our backend infrastructure. Or infotainment also runs over our backend infrastructure, and remote services. Remote services, maybe you ask yourself, what are these? But let me explain that with a little example, because as it's now going to be winter, and you wake up in the morning, you know you have your daily commute to work, but it is cold outside already. So what are you gonna do? You basically open your My BMW app and you say, okay, preheat my car. So that your car is warm when you sit down and when you drive to work. And that is going over our BMW connected vehicle backend. And you are not alone with that, so we are serving over 24 million vehicles in our infrastructure, and that number is growing because, as you also have may noticed, we introduced the brand new BMW iX3, I'm sorry, and we have a quite neat product here. I promise you, on this slide, it's the only time I'm going to talk about AI and Gen AI. I guess you heard about that more than enough yesterday and today, and you will hear about that also more than enough later today. But we are basically a big cloud platform inside of BMW. We are Kubernetes-based like everyone else, and we also have an API management. And also, you know, the car today is not the car what it used to be. 20 years ago, the car was just for driving. Today, it is a rolling computer. You have basically functions which were unimaginable 20 years ago, and you also have quite intelligent functions. For example, the car knows, with the brand new BMW iX3, when some parts will reach end of life and need to be exchanged. So we have there our AI use cases and many more. That is just an example. So you know basically when your car needs a new spare part in case. And also we need to know that, and our dealer needs to know that. So if you bring your car to the workshop, we already know what needs to be replaced. But now let's talk about our API management. First of all, big changes in big enterprises and also rapid changes in big enterprises are something which is not that easy. I've seen some colleagues from PayPal here, from ING, from also from United Airlines, and you all know that if you introduce a big change, many things can go wrong. And the problem is, the world is changing, and so are we. But how fast can we adapt? Can we keep up the pace that the world has? And also, did we identify and contact all relevant users and stakeholders? How can we maximize the customer value and also minimize the blast radius in case something goes wrong? And is it also a good idea to make big changes in life systems, or should we go for smaller step approach. So please keep these questions in mind, because we're now going to talk about our legacy solution, how API management at Connected Drive used to be. In the past, we had a monolithic, centralized API gateway sitting in our data centers, and that was basically a very robust approach. We had little to no downtimes, we had slow development circles, everything was plannable. But also, if we want to scale up, because we see it's getting cold outside and everyone wants to preheat their car, we see request spikes. So our infrastructure needs to be sized well, and also sized that every single request can be served and can be satisfied. So it is not very scalable, not in minutes, but more in months. And we have no easy fallback in case of outages, because in the cloud everything is easy. You just spin up another cluster, you go to another availability zone, but sometimes you run out of data centers in the good old world of on-premise services. Also, you have high operations costs. You need to service a whole data center, you need to have a team which does only that and nothing else, and you have then basically a single point of failure. If something goes wrong, everyone is impacted directly. And yeah, as I said, it is not scalable, and we needed a new approach to be future-proof. So what can we do? We can take the centralized API gateway and shift it to the cloud. That wouldn't bring me here to this keynote, to be very honest. Because everyone did that in the past, everyone. But we wanted to get one step further. So we asked our architects, what can we do? Come up with some brand new ideas. Do something crazy. So they locked themselves in for a week or two, and then they came back and said, we have something crazy. And that is what I'm talking about. It's not an evolution, it's a revolution. Because we have gone completely decentralized. That means there is not longer one single API gateway for us. We basically have a landscape of over 140 IT products in our organization. And guess what? Every single IT product has its own API gateway. That comes with several advantages. For example, we don't need that centralized team anymore. Everyone can deploy and everyone can service their own API gateway. And it is not a full-time job. It is more like a side hustle you can do. Also, we have the increased availability and reliability. So if one gateway fails, who cares? It is not Connected Drive as a whole impacted. It is only one single microservice or one single IT product. Also, if the gateway becomes slow, I don't care anymore because all the rest of the infrastructure is working fine. Also, we introduced automated governance. Over our GitHub pipelines, we can check the API specifications before they get deployed, and we can also say, you are not in accordance with our API guidelines, you are not in accordance with security best practices, this API is not going to be published. So we have a lot of increasements, not only in availability and reliability, but also in security. And we are scalable without limitations. So if you basically have that cold day all over the US and America in the morning wants to preheat their car, we can service that. Also, we are not cloud native, we are cloud agnostic, so it is basically also a little bit a lie, because we are not only cloud agnostic, we run on every platform from a Raspberry Pi to a hyperscaler and everything in between. So you have not only rapid prototyping with faster development cycles, you have also the choice where you want to run your application, where you want to run your API gateway. And the faster technology trend adoption and the faster development cycles I said, in the old world, for example, if we look back 1 year, we did 3 updates per year of the API gateway. Now we can do 24. We can do basically every 2 weeks, we can do an update of the whole cloud infrastructure. We are always up to date, we are always secure, and we always have the latest technologies available for our developers. And as a nice side effect, also we decreased our latency. So basically your car starts sooner preheating than it was before. So you may not notice that it was over 200 milliseconds per request as latency. Now we have 95 milliseconds of requests. The normal human being doesn't recognize that, but it's basically got double as fast in processing time at least. I told you about a revolution in the beginning. My history teacher used to tell me a revolution is a rapid change which affects anyone and everyone. But looking at this timeline, we started in December 2023 with preparation and ended in December 2024. That is not rapid at all. So we started in December 2023 with the identification of our stakeholders. We needed to make sure that we really catch everyone. The old solution was historically grown, it was not good documented, and we didn't know who is our stakeholder. So we needed to do that at first. Then we made a project plan, which was also completed in December 23. And we needed to start to develop a proof of concept. And last but not least, we announced that 1 year in the future, we will shut down the old solution. Fast forward half a year later, we were ready with our POC. We had also our first demo live, and we made a call for feedback. We needed to ask our stakeholders, is that what we are developing right for you? Because we want to be developer-centric, also something we weren't in the past. And we got lots of feedback, and one of the feedback things we got was that teams said, okay, nice what you are planning, but we don't have any budget. Who knows that in your company that a big change gets delayed because of budget lags? Who says that, yeah, we want to change the world, but we don't have budget for that, we have more important things going around, etc., etc. Raise your hand if you know that. Okay, okay. So we were able, because we had a lot of guys working on the migration, we just said, okay, that is not an argument that you don't have any money. We offer you a free migration support. We do the job for you because we want that change to be done at the end of the year. So we did that. Also, until November last year, we adopted the API gateway. We adopted the new Kong solution. We right-fitted it for our developers for every single IT project. And we started migrating the first microservice. That was our very big milestone, and I still know when that was. It was at the Customer Advisory Board meeting in Paris last year from Kong. And of course, we did some further development and started the general migration. So, back to the revolution. What I mean about that is basically the last 7 weeks of last year. So we started in the beginning of November. We migrated in December all the other microservices and performed the shutdown on 31st of December 2024. That means the migration was completed after only 7 weeks. That sounds more like a revolution, doesn't it? So, and how did that become a success? What is very special about Kong? We could have, as I said before, we could have just lifted and shifted the former solution in the cloud. We could have printed a new label which says Kong, and then we could have spun up some more availability zones. So basically, what we are introducing is we are going from a centralized on-premises gateway to a state-of-the-art and distributed microservice gateway infrastructure. And that is our step forward to an even better customer experience, because we maximize teams' autonomies. You can basically work in your own cycles, you can be as fast or as slow as you want. We have a very high availability. We are cloud agnostic, we run everywhere. And also we have these short development cycles. We can upgrade anytime we want. We can spin up new gateways. We can scale down in seconds. And we halved the operational costs compared to our legacy solution. And that is something extraordinary. We didn't do that before. But also this migration did not go without any challenges. So we needed first to convince every single product owner. So we have now over 140 API gateways flying around in our infrastructure. All of these people needed to be convinced that this is actually a good idea and, more important, that this will work. Also, we needed to avoid business logic in the new gateway infrastructure, also something we had in the past. And that is key, because if we upgrade 24 times a year, we cannot have a look on custom developments on the gateway. We cannot have a look and test if some workflows are implemented there which may not work. We basically need an off-the-shelf solution, and we need to keep it like that, because only then we can be so fast. Also, that did not work without having multiple external providers on board. So in my team, we had 3 external providers. And you may know, external providers tend to not work so well together, because everyone wants to profit from the change, and knowledge sharing is a bit of a hassle sometimes, especially if you are working in a multi-provider setup. But we made that work with Kong, with other providers, and also with the providers of these 140 teams we had to migrate. And we needed to keep the daily business running. We cannot shut down Connected Drive for 7 weeks. For that. So it needed to still be running, and we needed to find a way on how we can migrate and basically at the same time test how it is actually working. So we had a strategy where we picked our biggest internal stakeholder and we migrated them first. Because we developed a solution where we did not make a big bang migration, but we made it gradually. So we started with 5% of the traffic at night. So no one would notice if it would go wrong. But it didn't go wrong. It was a success. So we started with 15%, with 25%, with 50%, and then with 100% over a week. And we've seen that is working. Why did we choose our biggest internal stakeholder? Because that is a lighthouse function. If we start with a small service no one cares about, then it is a little success, but we needed that big success. So we started with the biggest ones, and all the others would follow them. And also, we needed to avoid negative customer impact at any cost. So that was my first question. Did you notice anything bad? You didn't, because we did quite a good job. We tested a lot. We had over 1 year of preparation to shine in these last 7 weeks of 2024. And that apparently worked quite well. And that was our huge step forward to empower our BMW API developers to accelerate sheer driving pleasure. I'm so thankful that you joined today. So if you have any further questions, you can meet me later outside. Thanks for your attention. Have a nice day, and have nice fun with APIs and especially AI. Thank you a lot.